so Lillian always likes her cheeseburgers or her hamburgers with nothing on them.
Yeah, plain and dry.
Nothing. No cheese, no ketchup, no nothing. And anytime we go to a burger place, like a drive-through place, they always put cheese on it.
Yeah.
I can say like, do not put cheese. They still put cheese.
Yes.
And Rachel gets kind of mad about it, and we got to drive back around the building. But I don't get that mad.
Yeah.
You know why?
Why?
Well, one, because it means I just got a free cheeseburger. But two, because I used to work at Burger King.
Oh, yeah?
And so I remember.
You remember what it was like?
I'm like, I used to be in the back making Whoppers.
Trying to flirt with that girl who was at the cash register.
No, I was trying to flirt with the girls who worked at Frulotti.
Oh, the girl.
Wait, no, that's when I worked at Schlotsky's Deli.
That was Schlotsky's.
That's Schlotsky's. And so, like, I remember, like, I was a kid. I didn't really care about the job.
Yes.
And, like, it's kind of busy and hectic, and you're not having
Yeah.
any fun. And you forget, and you just get into this system of, like, lettuce, pickle, you know, all the things.
Yes.
And so I have some understanding, some compassion, some
Empathy.
empathy
Yeah.
for the drive-through dudes, because I actually had a drive-through job only for 3 weeks.
Yeah, you once had a job you didn't care about before, just
Exactly.
like they don't care.
Yeah. And so I think that we need to have a conversation
Yes.
about the importance of having empathy.
Absolutely. This podcast is a conversation between two friends about tugging into more, about reaching our full potential, getting a hold of all the things God has for us.
Yeah.
And as leaders, one thing you and I have learned is that empathy is important, essential, necessary piece.
So empathy is one of those words
Yeah.
that most people kind of understand.
They use it with the wrong context.
Yeah, they
Yes.
use it wrong. They're like, I think I got an empathy on my shoulder, right? No, like, okay, so I want to, they order an empathy at the Mexican restaurant.
Yes,
No, that's
yes.
an empanada.
Empanada,
Okay,
yeah.
hit us. What is empathy from not looking it up, and then I'll give my best direction.
Well, one phrase we use a lot is being able to put ourselves in someone else's shoes.
Yeah.
But then empathy is having the compassion to understand where they're at in those shoes, like
Yeah.
their responses, their reactions, their baggage, whatever, because of it. Being able to actually feel, compassion
Yeah.
and understanding for their circumstance.
No, that's perfect. I
Okay,
think
good.
for me, I think empathy is like an extension of grace
Yeah.
towards somebody else, because you understand what they have went through or are going through.
Right. Right.
And so, like me, I have some empathy for my kids love Wendy's. It's like the
Yes.
Wendy's and Chick-fil-A are
Yes.
the literally only two drive-through restaurants my kids want to go to.
It's really funny.
I have empathy for the Wendy's dude because I worked at Burger King and
Yeah,
Schlotsky's Deli.
right.
Rachel was a waitress for a bunch of years.
Yeah.
I was never a waiter.
Yeah.
So if we go to a restaurant and like my tea is empty and like, dude, I don't have a napkin and where's my straw and like all these things,
Yeah.
I'm sitting there getting a little bent out of shape. Rachel's cool as a cucumber.
Yeah.
Why? Because she was a waitress. She has empathy
yeah.
for them.
Yeah. And sometimes, though, as leaders, we have not ever yet experienced have not experienced in our life the thing that other people are walking through. We've not actually ever walked a mile in their shoes, but we still have to be willing to find empathy, to decide to have empathy for them if we want to be great leaders, if we want to be
Yeah.
people who lead well and are able to lead all kinds of people.
So I already know that this conversation is going to end up in the deep end.
No, maybe not.
But do we want to go deep first?
Well,
or remember it's a conversation,
yes.
or do we want to go like the shallower side of empathy first?
Yeah, no, we can go the shallower. We can start in the kiddie pool.
Okay.
What is your thought?
Lillian just told me this week. She said, "Daddy, I'm never going to forget what it's like to be a kid.
Oh,
I'm never going to forget." And she said that way, when I'm a parent,
yeah,
I remember.
yeah. Which she was saying because you're
Yes.
getting on to her about something?
Yes, because I apparently have forgotten empathy of what it's like to be 9.
And want to stay up till 10:30.
Exactly.
Right.
And so, like, as a dad, if I tell Titus to get out of the pool,
Yeah.
get out of the pool. He don't want to get out of the pool.
No.
And he's sad and he thinks I'm taking away the greatest thing ever happened to him.
Right.
So he's upset about getting out of the pool.
Yeah.
And for me, as the dad, as a grown adult,
Right.
I'm like, bro, it's not a big deal. Just
Yeah.
get out of the pool.
Yeah.
But for him,
Yes.
it's a bigger thing.
No,
He's having
right.
this is the most fun of my whole life.
Yeah.
And so I have to put on empathy to understand his immaturity.
Yeah.
He's a little kid.
Yeah, we take our kids like when they're little, we take them to the mall, or you see people with their kid at the mall and they're in the stroller and they're just having a fit, and the moms are so mad.
Yeah.
Calm down. Where I'm like, you've been walking them through clothes racks. They've been looking at just fabric and
Yeah.
like nothingness for 3 hours.
Yeah.
They already ate all the puffs a long time ago that you
Yeah.
gave them. They're sick of being in that chair.
Yeah.
But in the frustration of the list of what we need to get done and the to-do list that we have,
Yeah.
what we're shopping for, we just want you to hush and be quiet.
Yeah.
But the empathy that we can have for our kid instead is like, oh yeah, they probably just want to get out of that playland that we walked by 4 times.
Yes.
I should probably let them.
Yeah. So
Right.
there's empathy down and up.
Yes, absolutely.
So like all the examples you and I just gave.
Yeah.
Is we have to have empathy for the people that are like younger.
Right.
Or still learning.
Right.
Or in maybe a simpler season.
I remember we had an employee once that used to say, he used to say, you know, y'all talk about all this stuff and anything over $20,000 is just like,
Oh, yeah.
like so far over my head. And we would have empathy for him
'Cause
anytime he was having a budget issue.
The dude had never had a car payment.
Right.
Never paid rent.
And
never.
we'd be like trying to tell him stay in budget. And he'd be like, I had no idea pizza was going to cost that much. I'm like, right.
Yeah.
Because you've never even paid a bill.
Yes. No, I remember that.
That empathy was easier, I think, to have though.
So we have to have empathy that
Yeah,
direction, that if
yeah.
you're a leader, which you are of something,
Right.
whether you're empathy for your kids or empathy for your employees,
Yes.
you have to understand where they are.
where they're coming
Because
from.
if we expect them to be as mature as us,
That is not a good
it's
expectation.
not a good expectation.
right.
A 20-year-old does not know everything a 40-year-old knows.
Correct. No, they haven't had the life experience. They haven't had the time. They haven't had even the failure that we've had to
And so
actually learn it.
So when stuff starts going off the rails,
Right. Right.
we had a guy on our team who would like just start crying and like would leave his post and go in a classroom and lock the door and lay down.
Yeah.
But the dude was my age.
Yeah. Yeah.
No empathy.
No. Yeah. You had no.
Because I'm
right.
like, bro, you need to grow the junk up and do your job.
Yeah.
Because he's had 30 jobs.
Right. Right. Right.
But if you're new to something and you're young and you get frazzled and freaked out, we're going to have a bunch of understanding.
Right.
That like, yeah, I understand this pressure. I understand this is hard.
But you're saying it like it's simple and like a no-brainer. But I think that it's something that lots of us in different seasons of life struggle. There were times as a mom that I struggled to have empathy for where my kids are at. I needed to actually go, whoa, hold on. What you said, she's 9, they're
Yeah.
7. Or what you're saying right now. Oh, wait a minute. They have not walked through this leadership level that I've already walked through years ago. Something you got onto me or whatever once for was I kept saying, it's not hard. I don't understand. Why are they having such a frustration? It's not hard. It's not hard. And you're like, hey, what? It's not hard for us. That's
Yeah.
why we're in charge. And I
Yeah.
was like, you're right.
Well,
Because I was getting frustrated at the inability of some things to happen at the efficiency and at the speed that I could have done it.
yeah.
But that was unfair because of how long I had been doing it and the understanding I had.
Yeah.
Go.
I had a pastor that I worked for that anytime I had a challenge that I couldn't figure out how to recruit more people or how to fix
Yeah.
this problem, he would always say, hey, dude, this is easy. And then he would tell me the steps.
Right.
But when I would hear this is easy, what I really heard was, you're stupid.
You're stupid. Yeah. Yeah.
You're stupid.
Yeah.
And when you would say, this is easy,
Now, I was only saying it to you.
Yes.
I wasn't saying it to them. But I was saying to you, I don't understand. It's not that hard.
but like, we have to be careful
Yeah.
that we're not calling people stupid
Right.
by calling their job
Inadvertently.
they're struggling with easy.
Easy. Right,
Because
right.
it's not. You and I just had a meeting today,
Yes.
literally this morning.
Yeah.
More Church is in a very unique season of its life where we are in set up and tear down on Sundays.
Yeah.
And so we've been meeting for 2 years at a building called The Pig.
Yes.
It's a big auditorium. It's having some renovations. And so we are now moved out of The Pig and into the center
Right.
that seats 6,000 people.
Don't worry, we do not have 6,000 people attending.
No,
It just
so we're
seats
in a
6,000.
mega. The other room's about 1,200
Yeah.
that we earn consistently. This
Yeah.
one seats 6,000. It's stupid big, and there's all kind of stuff going wrong.
Yeah.
Not on our end. They're not going to listen to this. Maybe they are. All kind of stuff going wrong with tech
Well, we're
issues.
just learning. We've only been there 4 weeks. We're learning.
And so, like the new place that we're at, the center,
Yeah.
we have been thrust upon them.
Yes.
They didn't want us to meet there.
No.
They would have told us no.
Right.
But because the other property is under renovation, their arms behind their back a little
They have
bit.
been assigned us.
They have been assigned us. And so today, you and I go into this
Yeah.
meeting
Yeah.
about all these things that are going wrong.
Yeah.
And do you know what we started the meeting with? Empathy.
Yeah.
We said to them, hey guys, first, we know that you did not choose to have us here.
Right.
We know that
We are a pain in your butt.
We're inconvenience. We know that your staff is now having to work Sundays. So we're sorry.
Yeah.
And I think that tone,
Yeah.
that like us just understanding that we're already a pain in the butt to
Yeah.
them is empathy
Yeah.
to like understand that some of their staff might not be really
Well,
excited to be there with us.
And even through some of the conversations, we understood, you know what, like we do it, we've always done it our way, and you have a way that you do it, and it works well for you. We just haven't been aware of it all the way. And like understanding, oh, there's some miscommunication. And for us, we took on some of the like, yeah, we can see how we maybe have even not communicated as well to you. Because we had the empathy to realize it's a tricky situation
Yeah.
for everybody.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've put a wrench in their summer plans.
For sure.
And so
And just because we have a wrench in ours, like we've been
Right.
screwed here.
Right.
This is not good. We're not
But it's
excited
not
about
their
this.
fault.
It's not their fault.
And so what the tendency can be is to go into a conversation with our guns loaded, like, oh, I'm going to tell you what's going wrong. But they're not the ones.
Yeah.
You know, I think about these poor waitresses that get yelled at for when the meat is cooked wrong. Well,
Yeah.
they didn't cook the meat. They just
Yeah.
brought us the meat.
Yeah.
Like having the empathy to recognize the place that the people are in, their ability to change it or not change it, the rule that they're following or not following, like the mask thing that we walked through for the last few years.
Yeah.
I would get so bugged at employees who were telling me, to make sure my mask was on appropriately. But then I had to realize they're just literally doing the job
They're
that
just
they've
trying to
been
get paid.
told they'll get fired if they don't do.
Yeah.
And like,
We-
empathy. Go.
We just went on a family vacation. We went to Florida. We went to Destin, Florida.
good.
Rachel and I and the kids.
That's why you're so tan.
Yeah, I got my little tan on.
Yeah.
It's not makeup. and so we go there, and right next to our hotel is a Waffle House.
Okay.
My kids have never been to Waffle House.
No.
Rachel does not want to go to Waffle House.
No.
Me, I'm like, let's do this thing.
Yeah.
Let's expose our kids.
experience Waffle
So we go to Waffle House. I really could tell a bunch of stories about it, but here's all I'll say. Is when we walk in, on the door is a big handwritten note that says, for our employees that showed up to work today, please be kind. Like, the manager is having a hard time even getting employees to show up.
Yeah.
They're down. They got now hiring sign up on their little kiosk on the
Yeah.
outside. And he's saying, hey, the few that are here,
Yeah.
like I know I need to have double the staff. The poor ladies that are back here, just be nice to
Yeah,
them. What he was, or she, the manager is trying to do,
yeah.
is install some empathy in the customers. Now, it went horribly. We should have definitely not went to Waffle House. My kids are traumatized.
You are now no longer in charge of any food decisions
No.
on vacation.
But they're trying to say, hey, realize what it is.
Yeah. Set the expectation.
Chill. Okay.
Yeah.
We talked about empathy down.
Yeah.
I think that there's also empathy up.
Yeah. And side to
Side-
side.
side to side.
Because yeah. Go ahead.
Up and side to side.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't have bullet points when we have these
No.
conversations.
Oh, they have been banned.
I used to have bullet points. They
Bullet points have been
banned my bullet points.
No, so that we have a real conversation.
One of the things we have to have empathy for up or side to side is someone's exposure.
Yeah.
So we hired a guy on our team, and we all went to lunch once in Arlington.
Yeah.
And he says, man, we're in the big city.
Right.
We're like, what? It's like, I grew up in Rendon.
Right.
He's like, this is the big city.
Right.
So like he would get nervous in traffic in big cities. I'm like, this is not a big city. This is Arlington Highlands. Like this
Yeah.
is not like a big area. But
as it relates
because
to-
of his exposure,
Yeah.
because he had only been driving down some country tractor roads with
Right.
horses on both sides,
Yeah.
this was a lot.
Yeah.
And so we had to have some understanding because we had our staff Christmas party. And we had a staff Christmas party up in North Dallas. Do you
Yeah,
remember this?
yes.
At night.
Yes.
Dude, and we let him drive the van with all the staff. How late? We were almost done eating.
Yes.
They were like 40 minutes late. Why? Because we asked Country Boy to drive the van up into North Dallas, and
Yeah.
he was crapping a brick the whole way up there.
Right.
So I wanted to be mad, but I had to have some empathy.
Yeah.
It was my own bad fault for having him drive the van.
Yeah. Right. No, having
He
the
hadn't been
empathy
exposed.
to understand. Yes, that they don't have the experience, the exposure, or even the expectation we had is not the same level that we should have had for
Yeah.
this situation.
So,
Absolutely.
So a little deeper with the exposure is like, maybe you need to have some empathy for your mom.
right.
Because like if your mom was never told by her mom, I love you,
Yeah.
and was never hugged.
Yeah.
Maybe she didn't do everything for you wished we would have, but it's because she didn't have that exposure.
Absolutely.
Because she wasn't parented well. She didn't know how to parent you well.
Right. No, it's really good. We talk about it all the time. Like for both our families, like we struggle to know how to like stop, rest, take a break, all these pieces. But it's because the parents that we were all raised by were people who worked hard, kept it going, like, and didn't always take a break, didn't always stop. And so in our own life, in there, I could be frustrated, like, you didn't teach me how to rest. Now I'm a 40-year-old lady trying to learn. But they didn't know why, because they weren't taught either. They
Right.
were taught how to keep working hard. The parents they grew up with didn't take them on vacation, all these same pieces. And what you're saying is whether it's deep, I love you, all the way to simple, take a vacation, like
Yeah.
the exposure someone has in their life is going to be a lot of what sets the way they do their life. And like, we have to have that empathy.
Rachel and I, when we first got married, a battle we had a lot in our house was the tidiness of our home.
Yeah, yeah.
Our home was always clean,
Right.
but it was not always tidy.
Yeah.
Rachel just had piles of crap everywhere. Now, here's the problem. My mom literally owns a cleaning company.
Yeah, right. Extreme exposure.
She owns a company that cleans
Right.
places. One of the ways that she would test her employees, make them come clean our house. My house growing up, you could have ate off of any surface, perfectly clean. Then I married Rachel. She grew up in Mexico on the mission field.
Yeah.
Her mom be having potted plants in the living room.
Like, what are you about to say?
I'm saying like it was a
Right.
different thing.
Absolutely.
And so until I learned, I have to have some empathy for Rachel's exposure,
But balanced against your exposure.
balanced against my extreme,
Yeah, exposure.
like Better Home and Gardens cover
Right.
living room exposure that we couldn't find a balance.
Absolutely.
She had to understand what I was exposed to.
Yeah.
I had to understand what she was exposed to. And then now we can have some empathy for each other.
Absolutely.
If it's not kind of organized, I feel chaotic.
Right. Yeah.
And she doesn't see the
The value and
tidiness
the need. Right.
because it is clean. It's just
Right.
not tidy.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it took us a lot of years to figure that out. So we weren't at each other's throats about it all the time.
Right.
Empathy.
It's really good. And then, so there's the exposure. Then there's what? The life circumstance.
Yes.
There's the pain, the trauma. We talked about trauma recently, like how we lead through trauma. But what we sometimes don't look at is the trauma that someone else has walked through, and the response, the way they live, the way their circumstances are based in that.
Yeah. So because of what's happened to somebody,
Yeah.
that's how they're viewing the world. That's how they're
Yeah.
responding. And so like I see people make decisions
Yeah.
in their life that I do not think are wise decisions.
Yeah.
But when I look at what their experience is,
Right.
the trauma that they've walked through, I can have some empathy for why they do that. Like,
Yeah.
like we have people that will be real involved and real committed. They're single people
Yeah.
and they've been through some trauma. They're divorced or they were in an abusive relationship or something. And then they find somebody else
Yeah.
that they're in a relationship with that they think hung the moon. And then before you know it, they've left the church
Yeah.
because they've so clung on to this new person
Right.
that they leave all their community,
Yeah.
all their relationships. And I used to feel like they're leaving me, or like I've failed them as a pastor.
Or like, how could they possibly make that decision?
But it's because of the trauma from their past that this new shiny relationship, they think it's going to save everything.
Yeah.
And so they run to that. That might not be a great example.
No,
but
we've
people
talked
go
about-
through trauma
Yeah.
and it affects how they do everything.
Absolutely. I think that we can encounter people, so maybe the decisions they make, but then also maybe the behaviors they have, or the attitudes they have, where we think, why do they respond that way? Why do they always have their fists up? Why
Yeah.
are they always so aggressive in their words? Why are they always feel like every time you're talking to them, they're actually in an argument? But when we recognize what they've walked through, what their trauma has been, that everywhere in life they had to fight for themselves. Everywhere in life they had to be ready to present the argument in order to survive. Then we can go, oh, that's why they have that. They're not fighting with me.
Right.
They're fighting with the circumstances they've had in the past.
No, it's really good. I'm writing a note down. I know I'm not allowed to have bullet points, but I just don't want to
Okay,
forget
well,
this.
You can write that note down. But I think that the exposure, the pain, the hurt. We've even looked and understood people who've walked through traumatic things that now the why do they do it that way? Why do they always respond these ways?
Yeah.
Why do they have these rigid rules and disciplines in their life? And it can feel like, what is their deal? But instead,
What's their deal, man? Such an idiot. Why do you do it that way?
Right.
It's because of something they've been through.
right, it's because of something that they walked through that we haven't walked through.
Yeah.
Because had we walked through the same thing, we might want to do it that way too. Had we walked through that same thing, we might respond that same way too. We don't, but why? Well, because my experience is this. I can't even put myself sometimes in the shoes of people that we know, people that we've led, because I just can't imagine growing up in the home like that, or growing
Yeah.
up in a way like that. But we have to be willing to go, okay, let me understand, have the grace, like you said before, and then the understanding to go, oh, I see your story.
As leaders,
Yeah.
question of the podcast.
Yes.
As leaders, who should we offer empathy to?
Everyone.
That's the right answer.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
not pre-planned.
Yes.
As leaders, we need to offer empathy
Right.
to everybody.
Yeah.
But we don't.
No, we don't.
The reason that we get bent out of shape or hurt
Yeah.
or unable to forgive someone because they hurt us, listen to me now. I know you're about to turn me off.
Yeah.
One of the reasons we don't forgive or can't forgive is because we don't extend empathy to people who hurt us,
Right.
to people we're mad at, to
Right.
people who have done us wrong.
Right.
But when we have empathy for how they were raised, how their parents treated
Right.
them, the trauma that they've been through,
Yep.
the situation that they're in, when we put into their perspective
Yeah.
what they did to us, it actually begins the process of
Yeah.
healing.
I hear one pushback of that.
Yeah.
Like that someone's listening that it could be, well, actually, I did walk through that, but I responded this way. And I think we have to also understand and recognize different personalities respond to things in different ways. And
Yeah.
so while somebody who walked through a life where they had to fight for everything they had, somebody who walked through a life where they had to argue for everything they now argue, they now fight for, you might encounter someone else, or you might be the one who, well, I know I walked through a lot of fighting. You and I, we've both shared, like both grew up in homes where there was a lot of loudness, a lot of yelling, where you determined for yourself at a young age, I'm not going to
gonna do
yell.
that.
Whereas for me, I spent a whole lot of time yelling.
Yeah.
But we had the same experience.
Okay.
But we had a different response.
Yeah.
And so I have empathy for like you in the story that you grew up in, and you have empathy for me in my like loudness. Even
just
though
dealt with
we
it
didn't
different.
respond the same.
Yeah.
And so it's not always that we don't understand where they came from. Sometimes it's our empathy, we struggle because I'm like, I've been there and
I've
I
been
dealt
there.
with it and I helped and I figured it out.
Yeah.
But we don't know the full. Again, we've talked about it, that leadership is complex.
It's like
people are complex.
It's like how a brother and sister can grow up in the same house. And
Absolutely.
they can have an abusive father or something, but the one goes one direction, the one goes the total opposite. Like, how did that work? It's different personalities.
Different personalities. Okay, now go to where you were going. Sorry,
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify.
No, that's really good.
Yeah.
We'll get a little deep.
Okay, go.
Get a little transparent as we do here.
Yes.
So
I just feel like that's a necessary piece as we talk about what I know you're about to talk about.
a number of years ago, I was having a really hard time
Yeah.
forgiving, getting over,
letting go of.
of some trauma from relationships that I had been through.
Some relational hurt. Yeah.
Relational hurt, some ministry hurt that I felt like I was lied to,
Yeah.
taken advantage of,
Manipulated.
mistreated, and then spoken poorly on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I couldn't heal from it.
Yeah.
I kept feeling that I was rehearsing these conversations.
Right.
And how dare you do this to me? I've been wronged in my
Right.
heart. On the outside, I think I was doing it all well. But on
Yeah.
the inside, I was not okay. And so it was a conversation that me and you had talked about, Aaron and Rachel, we'd all talked about a whole bunch. And then one day we took some time and I said, I need help
Yeah.
building what we called an empathy list.
Absolutely.
I said, here's the person. Will you help me from a third party
Right.
as a consultant?
Perspective.
Perspective, you know this person, you know this situation. Would you help me build an empathy list of how they could have done this to me?
Right.
They know the Bible.
Right.
They know that what these things they've done aren't right.
Yeah.
Why did they do this to me?
Well,
And we sat down
yeah.
and we started writing an empathy list of what this other person had walked through in their life, their traumas, their hurts, their experiences. And we can walk through some of those details if you want to. And by the time we were done making that list, I was almost in tears for the heaviness of their life.
Yeah. Yeah.
My whole perspective on this person shifted, that from me being mad and offended and being wronged to me looking at them and going,
oh,
I get it.
Yeah.
I get why you act that way because
Yeah.
you've got some undealt with hurt.
Right. Right. You now had empathy, compassion
Yeah.
for their circumstance and for even their response rather than allowing the hurt to stay in and for you to hold on to it. I think that what we talked about in the beginning in the shallow end, like the empathy down is a lot easier in those hurt situations. I've been hurt by people that are younger than me, don't have as much exposure as me, don't have as much life experience. I have been hurt by them, but as a leader, it's a lot easier, I think, sometimes, often, to say, yeah, but I get it. They're young. They don't fully understand. But when it's someone at what you feel is at the same level and someone maybe that was leading you, it's a lot harder to instantly build it. So I can mentally build it for the person that's maybe that I'm having empathy down for. But having empathy up, we had to actually practically, tangibly build an actual list. Like we can say it and it can sound like, oh, you just made one out loud. No, wrote it down, typed it up on a piece of paper so we could reference it, so we could point to it.
And then I had to review it.
And actually
when I would start to get mad.
Right. And
because when I remembered, when we took some time and we remembered, oh, this is what their childhood was like.
Yeah.
I know their dad told them this. Right. This is what their feelings are. Oh, this is what this person and their spouse walked through.
Right.
Oh, they had ministry hurt.
Right.
I remember this happened to them and that was dirty. Somebody did them wrong and this is what happened. Oh, I remember they felt called to do this, but then it didn't come in till here and they felt like a failure and they're hitting this age and not at this level of what they perceive as success. And, there's this other big opportunity and temptation.
Now, there's a couple clarifiers for what we're talking about. We've talked about gossip before. And so you and I, in building that list, this is a very trusted and a very
this is with my sister.
yeah, this is a
I'm literally with my sister talking about it.
This is a very no one else has ever seen the list, like other than Aaron and Rachel.
Yeah.
No one else will ever see the list or hear the like. It's not something we were sharing with people. Like, do you know about them?
No.
So that's important to clarify. I think it's important to clarify that it was done from the heart of healing, not a heart of frustration, not a heart of continuing to hold a grudge. It was not, let's point out all the bad things about them. It was, let's help ourselves actually
understand why this is their MO.
Yeah.
Why this is their method of operation.
Yeah.
Oh, it's because of this is what they've been exposed to.
And then I think another piece that was...
You only know how to use the tools that you've been given.
Absolutely.
And so they're just operating with those tools. And so, like, if your dad was a drunk...
Right.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
But, like, maybe his dad was a total jerk.
Yeah.
So the only thing that he, like...
Right.
When we can have some empathy for why people do hurtful things to us, when we can look into their history, it helps us not look at them and be so angry.
But I think clarifying those things is important, because what I also feel, though, is it's important to not build that list alone. You know, if you remember when we were building it, there were a couple things that I put on the list that you didn't even know.
No, blew my mind.
I was like, you don't know this? I know the story from them. I know the circumstance from them of some pain they walked through, of some hurt. And you were like, I didn't even know. And I think, one, someone else's trusted voice can sometimes bring you new clarity, new understanding you didn't have before, but then also can help bounce or balance when we're hurt, when we're feel justified in our hurt. Sometimes you need a trusted person's voice to go, that's a heavy... We apply 2 pounds of weight to their hurt when really, hey, that's a 15-pound weight. Like, I'm not saying you did that in that scenario, but there could be a thing of like, well, yeah, all their dad did was leave when they were 5, but they didn't know any better because they got a new dad by the time they were 7. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me give you the perspective. That's a heavy, I'm not saying you did that, but it could have been.
Yeah.
And so I do think it is valuable to bring someone, whether it is a spouse or whether it's a close trusted friend, building that list on your own. I don't think you get as much freedom.
No, and what you said was good. It's not a bash fest.
No.
Like for me, and I think we did it for you once with somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not a bash fest. And it's something that I didn't do until years after the hurt. Absolutely. I mean, it had scabbed over and the scab fell off and now it's just scarred.
Yeah.
And this was like reconstructive surgery.
Absolutely.
This was like, okay, I'm done gushing blood from the hurt, but like
I want to fully forgive it.
It's plastic surgery time. You know, I want to really forgive and get this out of my heart. So when I see this person or I'm reminded of them, I'm not bitter.
Yeah.
But I understand.
Yeah.
When we put I'm going to lean into forgiveness a little bit, but when we put people on pedestals, or we put them into positions higher than they should have ever been, that's when we can really be damaged.
Yeah. For sure.
We put these people in these elevated positions. I'm even thinking of some of our younger team that have experienced some hurt from other staff that are gone. When we allow that person to be such an important, vital role, and then they're the ones who hurt, it's deep.
Yeah.
But when we'll put some empathy on their story, oh, they act this way in life, that's sad for them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Oh man, they have to carry that around every day.
Yeah. That's heavy. Yeah.
It helps.
No, it's true.
I have had to fire some people over the years.
Yes.
That's not fun.
No.
We've had a whole podcast on that.
Right.
I don't even know what they're called.
You're fired.
You're fired.
That's what it's called.
And I've went back to some of those people that I've fired and I've apologized for words that I said or how situations went or things they were upset about, just so that I could, and then I've said, hey man, I was just doing the best that I knew how and I didn't do it all right.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was stressed out. I was upset. I was confused. I was tired.
Right.
And I go and I try to help them understand I'm just a dude.
Right.
Now, most people I don't think do that.
No.
It's like I go and I show my weakness of that moment and then apologize.
No, it's
and
good.
I'm trying to help them gain empathy for me.
Yeah.
So that they don't have to carry around this axe to grind with me forever.
Absolutely.
And they can just know I'm a human, I screwed up, and I don't do everything right.
Yeah. And sometimes even offering them, I recently had a similar conversation, and offering them like some of the empathy you've now acquired for them can also be, I recently had one where I said exactly, because you've done it, I just followed your example and said the same words of like, I did the best I knew how. I know I screwed some stuff up in that. I know we did the best we could in it. I'm sorry when you were hurt. But then I also recognize you were walking through this and that at that time. And so, man, I that must have been heavy for you to be carrying that then too.
Yeah.
When you can do that and offer them some empathy, man, what a gift.
Yeah.
To be able to heal and allow them to forgive and hopefully yourself. That's the big, like the forgiveness that we have the most responsibility for is our own.
Yeah.
And hopefully let it go.
Empathy list.
Yeah.
So if there's somebody that you're frustrated with or you're upset about or you wish they would produce more or whatever, maybe you just need to build an empathy list. If a lady on our staff got pregnant, was pregnant, I have so much empathy. Amanda just recently had a baby.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you okay? You need to go home? Don't pick that up. No, take 8 weeks. It's okay. You know why? Because I've had a wife who had a baby.
Yeah.
And Rachel got real sick and all the things.
Right.
In the same way I'm understanding of somebody who's pregnant,
Yeah.
we have to be understanding of like if they're having marriage problems.
Right.
We have to be understanding of if they have a kid who's walking away from the Lord.
Right.
We have to be understanding of if we've asked them to do 2 jobs.
Correct.
Bailey
Right.
and Easton in here right now.
Right.
Right now, they're each doing more than one
Maybe,
job.
Maybe more than 2. Right.
And so because they're doing more than one job,
Right.
I have empathy
Yeah.
that if a ball gets dropped somewhere,
Right.
I'm not going to lose my junk because I understand that they're carrying more than one thing.
Yeah. No, it's good. And another thing I think that the empathy allows us to then a question, it allows us to then ask ourselves as leaders is maybe the empathy then allows us to go, I remember that season of my life, or I
Yes.
remember a time I walked through.
Yeah.
And then we can say, what do I wish someone would have done for me?
Yeah.
What do I wish my leader would have offered me? Maybe they did it well and right and you could follow it, and maybe they didn't. But when we'll evaluate the empathy list, we can then become better leaders.
Yeah.
Because we say, oh yeah, if I was walking through that, how would I want someone to respond or help me?
Yeah.
We may not get it perfectly right, but at least we're willing to put the effort into understanding and having the grace to see it through.
Yeah. So we're going to bullet point what someone should write down if they're building an empathy list, what some bullet points are.
Absolutely.
But before that, just because you're building an empathy list for somebody doesn't necessarily mean that you have to keep the relationship dynamic the same.
Absolutely not.
We're not saying that you should just keep being an abusive relationship.
Absolutely not.
We're not saying that you shouldn't fire an employee.
No.
We're not saying that you should not remove yourself from dating somebody.
No. Both of the people that you and I have built the empathy list for, we are not in daily relationship with.
No.
But we have been now healed to a level that if they're in the room, we're good. If their name comes up in a conversation, we have all the grace and empathy for the circumstances.
So I'm saying don't just build an empathy list and then keep a scrub in your life to your detriment.
Right.
Okay. Empathy list. Let's just rapid fire.
Okay.
Like we've already said, their traumas, their past,
their failures,
their exposure level, their like hurts, their
which can be physical hurts, emotional hurts, mental hurts, like
their like hard seasons they've had to walk through. Their what is it called? Like I don't want to say lack of success, but like their
I said their failures, but also their their moments that were paused or stopped, and then or disappointments. Their disappointments.
The season they're in right now.
Yeah, the one I was going to say. Their season. Yeah.
Like, dude, if someone's walking through current trauma, they're going to be a little shaky boat.
Right.
They're going to be rocked a little bit.
Right. Give the opportunity for that, and then maybe their relationships, like the relationships around them. You know, for us, like we have certain relationships that matter and mean a lot to us. What are the relationships they have in their life? What is the community around them? Who's tugging them into more with them? No one, or are they by themselves? Like some of these pieces that are just tangible things that can help us see, oh, they're just human too.
Yeah. So the thing that I wrote down is while we were talking, I am convicted a little bit.
Okay.
And we'll process this. I asked you the question, of who should we extend empathy to? And you said,
Everyone.
and that even includes yourself.
Yeah. That's a good one, bro. No, it's true.
I do not do a good job
Yes.
at extending empathy to me.
Yeah. No, it's true.
To me.
To yourself. Yeah.
And so, if you're listening and you're not in the more that you want to be in, maybe you need to make an empathy list for you.
Yeah.
What have you been through?
Right.
What have you experienced?
Absolutely.
What weights are you carrying?
Right.
What outside forces have happened to slow you down that are not your fault?
Right. What exposure have you had? What relational situations have you had? What health problems have you had? All of these pieces. Yeah, it matters.
I want to be a robot.
We are not robots.
I want to tug into more like a more tugging machine,
Yeah.
but I'm not.
No. Right.
And so in moments that we face disappointment, and I've got a couple right now,
Yeah.
I, as a leader, have a few things that I'm very disappointed about at how they've worked,
How they are currently working.
how they're currently working. So what I do is I look at myself in the mirror and call myself a loser.
Right.
And that I should have done better and how did I not know, and pull your crap together. And if you were just smarter, stronger, or more steady, whatever. But if we're going to extend empathy to everybody,
Yeah.
our name should be on the list.
That's true.
And so maybe you're listening and you need to sit down and make a list for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you're going to do what I'm going to do and make an empathy list for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good. It's super good. No, good job. I'm proud of you. No, it's the tug of more. It's the
Yeah.
tension of more. It's figuring out what is holding us back from continuing to tug into more. And sometimes it's just, having the empathy for somebody else. And what you said is so good, having the empathy for ourselves to recognize that we're all people. We're just humans.
Yeah.
We are not robots.
Yeah.
And the struggle is real, but it's worth the fight.
This is one of those conversations that deserves some homework.
Yeah.
And so
build
when you
it.
turn this off, take some time,
Absolutely.
man. Don't just click on another video.
Right.
Don't just listen to another podcast. Take a few minutes and start building those lists of empathy,
Yeah.
either for yourself or for somebody else.
Yeah.
And it'll help you a lot.
And not to get over spiritual, but
Do it.
that's our context. What you and I both did, though, after that was then we prayed
Yeah.
that God would solidify that empathy in our heart, that it wouldn't just be a one-time moment of having the empathy, but that we would then actually hold on to it and keep it with us. And so once you've made the list, it's not just practical.
Yeah.
It is spiritual to
Yeah.
say, hey, I want to let this go. So,
I don't think we've ever prayed for our audience.
no, I don't think so.
Let's do it.
Okay, go. You go.
Yeah, I'll pray. God, for all the listeners that are here, whether they believe in you or not, you love them and you care about them deeply. And we've all walked through some hurt and pain and disappointments. And we've all got some things that we've been offended by. Lord, help us all to have empathy. Empathy of the people around us that have hurt us, that we're trying to process. And empathy for ourselves, that though it hasn't went how we hoped it would, there are situations around us that we have to remember are actually coming into play. And so help all my friends that are listening to build those lists, and from that step into new levels of freedom,
Yep.
new levels of understanding that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that there is hope on the horizon, and that their best days really can be ahead of them. We thank you for your love, Lord. If there's anyone who's listening who doesn't even know you, all they have to do is ask you to forgive them of sin and come into their heart, and that you want to live life with them. We thank you for your love. Amen.
Amen. That's good.
Yeah.
Love y'all.
See you guys. Peace.